When the top diplomat of an emerging superpower arrives next door to discuss a border issue, protocol dictates a standard high-level reception. But when India's Foreign Secretary, Vikram Misri, landed in Kathmandu, he was met with a blunt refusal. Misri is a veteran diplomat who represents India's interests at the highest levels of global power. He is the man tasked with face-to-face negotiations with leaders like Vladimir Putin. The man who blocked Misri's entry isn't a career politician. He's Nepal's new Prime Minister, Balendra Shah, a former rapper who leveraged youth popularity into a seat at the head of the government. Shah issued a specific ultimatum. He would only meet with an official of equal stature. In diplomatic terms, this was a demand for the Indian Prime Minister himself to handle routine administrative talks. It raises a pressing question. How does a small, economically fragile nation feel empowered to deliver such a calculated insult to a regional giant? Much of Nepal's stability is directly funded by New Delhi. Every year, India's federal budget earmarks roughly 800 to 900 crore rupees for Nepal in aid and development projects. This support extends to the core of their economy. The RBI provides essential backing for Nepal's currency, and when natural disasters strike, the Indian military is typically the first responder on the ground with massive relief efforts. Despite this deep, multi-generational support, Nepal's current leadership is choosing a path of public friction rather than cooperation. When a country is entirely dependent on your financial ecosystem, tossing your top diplomat out of the room is a high-stakes gamble. It suggests a shift in Nepal's strategy that India can no longer categorize as a simple misunderstanding. This diplomatic snub is a symptom of a deeper territorial friction. The real dispute isn't happening in a meeting room, but on the maps defining where India ends and Nepal begins. For years, Shah promoted a Greater Nepal map, a fixture in his workspace. This aggressively reclaims sovereign Indian territory, with the Nepalese border pushing deep into Uttarakhand, Sikkim, West Bengal, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh. In most regional disputes, large nations are accused of encroaching on their neighbors. Here, a tiny, dependent state is laying claim to the land of an emerging global superpower. By making this map a part of his political identity, Shah has converted a fringe territorial fantasy into a direct challenge to the Indian state. The consequences of these new maps are being felt at the Lipulekh Pass, a critical and harsh mountain corridor. This has been a historic pilgrimage route for the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra since the 1950s. Now, Nepal is effectively holding a sacred cultural tradition hostage. This aggression coincides with a domestic crisis in Nepal. Youth unemployment is soaring, industry is stagnant, and the country is braced for global economic shocks it is ill-equipped to handle. Shah is following a well-worn political script. When internal systems fail, leaders often manufacture an external rival to distract the public and consolidate power. The Prime Minister appears willing to risk his nation's primary economic lifeline just to maintain his own domestic popularity. The roti-beti relationship, the traditional bond of shared resources and familial ties, is being replaced by a more transactional and hostile dynamic. India provides the financial and logistical stability that allows Nepal to function, yet in return, it faces diplomatic humiliation and territorial claims. This pattern isn't limited to Nepal. From water-sharing issues to energy infrastructure, India frequently provides unconditional resources to neighbors like Bangladesh, only to be met with unreciprocated hostility. When India provides aid while ignoring territorial provocations, it signals to the region that there are no consequences for challenging Indian sovereignty. Relying on historical patience has not stopped the maps from expanding. Protecting the border requires a policy where financial support is directly tied to the respect of India's territorial integrity. For India to secure its place in the world, its regional influence must be backed by a clear message that its support and its